Welcome, viewers, to another exciting episode on our YouTube channel. So, in today's episode, we are diving into the world of finance and analysis as we explore how to find the net present value or NPV using Microsoft Excel correctly. I want you to mark the word correctly. Whether you are a financial analyst, a job seeker, investment analyst, business owner, or just someone curious about making informed investment decisions, understanding of NPV is essential. So without wasting much of your time, let us jump into this episode. So as you will notice on the screen, I've already set up some preliminary data that we need for us to find the NPV. So what we have the cost of capital, which is the interest. The interest rate that you go and pay for getting money from someone and use it for a specific period of time. You can go to the bank will lend you money, and the cost of using the bank's money is the cost of capital, which is the interest rate. You borrow from a lending institution, you borrow from an individual, that is what will be charged. So that's the first thing that we need. Then we also have the times. So these are the times at which we expect the cash flow. So these are net cash flow. So 1st January 2023, you make an investment of 150,000. Then at the end of the year, which is the close of 2023, you make 20,000 in net cash flow. Then all the way up to the end of 2032, where you'll be making about 120,000 per year. Then the question is, want to know the real value of the money that we are going to get. If we made an investment of 150, say in a chicken pottery, in a brick making machine, in something, then we expect these cash inflows at the end of the period. What is the real value of the money that we are going to get? Are we creating money? That's a case of positive NPV. Are we losing money? The negative NPV. So when the NPV is positive, we can go ahead with the investment. If it's negative, then we are losing money. There's no business case. So the question is, how do we find the net present value? What is common is for us to just come to Excel and type equals, then NPV, then we have the rate. What's the rate? You see 17.5. We come there, then we enter the values, value 1 up to, so we come and select these values. Then once you do that, then we press enter. You get that 95,000 say dollars or kwacha, but this value is not correct. The NPV value in Excel has got a bug which has not been collected. Let me show you why it's incorrect and why you should not use this function like this. You need to have it collected. So the first thing that we are going to find the present value of our cash flows. Then individual cash flow, you sum them. When you sum them, what you're going to find is the NPV. If this formula is correct, it should be the same. So the year fraction is going to give me the period. So the start period is this one. So I'm going to lock it because I don't want you to make incorrect decision. Then the end date is this one. Then we are going to use the basis is we are going to use 365 days. That will be the basis. Then like this. So what you notice is at the beginning, when you make investment, there is no period that is elapsed. The period is 0. Then I'll just drag this formula like this. We are finding the difference. So the period that has elapsed from the time we made the investment to where we are. So these are the periods. So these are years. So year 1, year 2, up to year 10. Then after this, we need to find the present value, PV. So the present value, what we need to do is we need to find the discounting factor. So it will be this investment, then divide by the discount factor, which will be 1 plus the interest rate. So again, we need to lock this interest rate by using absolute referencing. So I'll use a dollar sign to lock it, then we raise it to the power of the period, then we find the discounted value. So at the beginning, that 150,000 that we're investing is worth that amount. Then we have to wait for 1 year because the time value of money, the money you have to wait for is less than the money that we have today. So I'll just drag this formula to apply that. At year 5, the 55,000 that we expect to get, the net cash flow is just worth 24,000 because we discounted it into today's value. If we sum these, the sum of all these present values are equal to this, which is 111, but here we found 95. So which one is correct? So the correct way to use the NPV formula is to use the NPV itself, but you don't include the first investment. So it will be this rate, then these values, the cash flows. This cash flow, you exclude the initial investment because it's at 0 period. Then once you do that, you can close bracket, then you press enter. You see we have 261, but now you need to subtract the initial investment. That's the correct way you use the NPV function. So the initial investment should be outside. So because it's negative, I'm going to now add so that we subtract. Plus, we are going to have this value. So this value is almost the same as this value. Notice it's almost the same because of the rounding of errors. That's why you notice this difference. So this value is the correct NPV. So the other way you can confirm that this is correct, instead you can use the Xnpv. So Xnpv uses the dates. So when you have the actual dates, that can not be consistent because the NPV alone assumes that the intervals are the same. So that's why we're not taking into account of the periods. So you do the rate the way it is, then the values. So these values, the cash flows are this, then comma the dates. So now you also select the dates. Then once you do that, you close, then you press enter. You notice that this is the collective value. This value, this value, this value are the same. You notice that this one and this one are identical. So don't make a mistake of including the initial cash outlay when you are using NPV. That initial cash outlay should be outside, should not be discounted. So you need to take care of this, otherwise we'll make incorrect decisions. So once you find the NPV, then you can proceed to do now sensitivity analysis. Remember, we looked at this in the previous episodes on how to set up the sensitivity analysis. So I'll come and just bring this one here. Then once you do, you select this one, then you go to a data table. So then you can use the data. So this is the one-way data table. So along the column, what we have is interest. So I'll come and select interest there on the pop-up. Then I press OK. So you are going to have these values. So these values, they tell you how does your net present value change in the cost of capital. So if you're able to go to the market and borrow money at 12.5 interest rate, your net present value would increase to 189. If you are able to negotiate and get at 15%, it will increase from 111 or approximately 112,000 to 147. Then if you are getting the money at 20%, your profit or net present value reduces to 81. So this is how you find the net present value using Excel collectively. It's important that you understand this and avoid making incorrect decisions or misleading the management or the board. Thank you for joining me in this episode. Please join me in another episode as we look at another interesting stuff.